Trending. Get the reaction from Arise News.
The hashtag Free Dele Farotimi to demand for the immediate release of human rights advocate Dele Farotimi. The arrest of the activist over alleged defamation has also sparked public interest in Farotimi's book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System, which has now become an Amazon bestseller, ranked #1 in elections and 555 among all books on the platform. The publication has also topped categories in general elections, political process, and political commentary with a 4.9-star customer rating. The book, which was published on July 2nd, explores how affluent Nigerians allegedly exploit the country's judicial system for personal gain. Well, hours after the Ekiti State Magistrate Court remanded Farotimi in prison, Roving Heights, a popular bookstore, reported its website had crashed due to unusual traffic and a spike in the demand for the book. I mean, I did go to Amazon.com and I did see bestseller. I also went to Roving Heights. I was also, I'm actually curious. And this is what this case has done now. It has now, ignited the conscience of a lot of Nigerians. They want to know what this book is all about. I mean, what are we saying here? Right? But Rufai, this story is huge. So many reactions have trailed the story. And, we've discussed at length about what has been going on. So I want to read some reactions from Nigerians. And, yesterday, Afa Babalola broke his silence on Farotimi's detention. And here is a tweet. He said that the book contained several defamatory statements that questioned his integrity and accused his law firm of unethical practices, including corrupting the judiciary. In response to that, Winston wrote, "It is not your place to say what is defamatory to you. It is the court's duty. You can't call it defamation simply because it hurts you. What if it's true? Dele has asked you to challenge him in court. Why not do so rather than kidnap him and hold him hostage with the police?" Damilare wrote, "Of course, we know the content of the book. The question is if the content could be challenged and proven wrong." Dele Farotimi already said it in an interview with Sheun that he is standing by everything he wrote in the book. Let this be challenged in the court of law. Well, Isaac wrote, "Are Afe Babalola is an easygoing lawyer, and if you have ever met this man, you would know that he is not the type to oppress the less privileged. He is a renowned philanthropist who has spent more than 7 decades upholding justice. I won't even begin to talk about the crucial role he played in helping recover our national funds." Then one Rastafarian-looking author suddenly wakes up one day and attempts to tarnish the name that Are has dedicated his life to building. This is a low blow. Are only asked for a proof of the allegations, but the followers of one failed politician began a smear campaign against him on social media. Is that justice and fairness? Let's talk about justice for Are Afa Babalola. Well, another tweeter there responded to that tweet saying, "Just because you adore him doesn't make him infallible. Just because he engages in philanthropy doesn't make him a saint. Why can't you follow due process and persecute Dele Farotimi? I detest people who smear others. But the guy said he has his evidence, so the law should take its course transparently. You may not like Dele Farotimi, but he still has his rights. Those rights must be respected. Otherwise, we are no longer operating the rule of law, but the rule of the jungle. And talking about people supporting a failed politician, I guess those people include the Nigerian Bar Association, of which Afe Babalola is a member, Omoyele Sowore, and many other voices all across Nigeria and beyond. Please, let's be serious about building an equitable, just, and fair society for every one of us and our children. I mean, I guess that is the conversation out there, and that is quite apt. Transparency, due process is the call out there.
So a lot of people try to spin narrative. Anyway, Dele has said a lot of people will try to spin this narrative. So we're not surprised that we're seeing them. They are really beginning to come out now.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying Babalola should not, if he feels the fame, should not go about fighting for his rights.
And that is his right.
But the way they have gone about it has made what he's doing wrong. This same Afe Babalola wrote many articles condemning the use of police to intimidate people in fighting for defamation cases.
We have seen those
articles are beginning to pop up.
Yes, we have seen them.
So if Afe Babalola has just gone to court and say, okay, court, take your action, that's just it. But this use of police and everything, and the fact that we have allegations of people hiding these charges all this while so that they'll be able to say he had not appeared in court all this while.
Yeah.
And as regards him telling his own part of the defamation story in his deposition, this story had come out like 2 days ago, and I had seen the full chapter of all the pages of what he wrote. In fact, I think he cited in over 10 or 15 pages in the book where where he claimed that Dele defamed him. And that's for the courts to decide. Part of his prayers is that the book should be withdrawn. But the book now that is circulating all over the world and everybody's getting it on Kindle and Amazon, where is he going to get the injunction to withdraw the book all over the world in a case if he gets what he wants? Most importantly, and let me make this very important point, as I said, there's this top American journalist that said something recently, an older man, that said when people defame you, the best thing to do is to keep silent.
Yeah.
Half of the people might not have even read about the defamation. Most people might not have even understood the defamation. It is when you now shine light on it, everybody is now reading. I can tell you that the book didn't get this adulation when nobody even report. Most people didn't even report it when Dele wrote the book. But today, it's worldwide. Yeah. So I'm not saying Afe does not have a right to change if he feels his right is being trampled upon. No. But once you now go to this forceful way, then you have lost me.
Yes.
It's the manner in which
I think that's really what it is.
Books, because that's the main story.
Yeah.
As to the legal, sociological parts, I think I've spent the last 2 days commenting at length on all of this, beyond what is on social media, but about books. Now, the principle about books is that when you try to prohibit a book or you try to remove it, you make it more popular. Yes. As you said you were curious. Yes. You also went and looked for the book. So this is about curiosity about the book. But the sociology of books, banned books, prohibited books, books that are challenged, is that they suddenly become popular. In 1865, Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, there was objection to it. But today, Alice in Wonderland is one of the most famous books in literature. Ulysses by James Joyce was also prohibited at a time. In its own case, it was about obscenity. The same thing happened to Lady Chatterley's Lover by D.H. Lawrence in 1922, when it was said that, the content was a bit too prurient for the 1920s society. But all these books became very popular. Yeah. A Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger was also, prohibited because they thought it was too explicit. Today, it's one of the major books in American literature. So this is how books turn out. When you try to restrict them, people will be curious. They will go and look for it. But the major battle is in the court of law. And we say that on both sides. Both parties involved in the dispute have their rights. But defamation is a very tricky thing. Because Dele Farotimi, we insist on justification. You don't know what evidence he has.
That's the
point. But that's what the court to decide.
Well, that's all right. Well, all right. Shall we now take reactions trailing the controversy surrounding the tax reform bill, as it were, from the National Assembly? Well, on Thursday, Senate President Godswill Akpabio said that the National Assembly has not suspended legislative actions on the tax reform bill, contrary to the statement made by Deputy Senate President Barry Jibrin, who on Wednesday, during plenary, directed the Committee of Finance on the tax reform bill to halt actions on the public hearing and other issues until there's a resolution.
It's on this note that the Committee on Finance that the bills have been referred to should halt action on public hearing and other issues until we resolve these issues.
All right, so, I mean, misrepresentation, they call it. I mean, we correctly reported the Deputy Senate President there. Well, Senate Leader Okweyemi Bamidele, while commenting on the issue, said that some media stations and media outlets, particularly Arise Television, misquoted the resolution of the upper house at Wednesday's plenary. Well, Akpabio, while reacting to the news, said that the Senate will not be bullied to suspend consideration of the proposed legislation and urged Nigerians not to listen to social media and not to listen to Arise TV.
The Senate will not be bullied. We are doing our work in the interest of Nigeria. You can't imagine what it means for multiplicity of taxes to be abrogated. You can't imagine what it means for people who earn less than the minimum wage or even minimum wage not to pay tax. So the exemptions are such that up to 100 million Nigerians will benefit from these tax reform bills. So let's not listen to social media. Let's not listen to Arise Television, and I hope they are well guided with the explanation of the Senate leader.
Confusion galore. Confusion. I mean, what is the meaning of the confusion there in the House?
As the Nigerians said it.
I mean, they definitely did bow to pressure, and we saw that. And there's nothing wrong with, you know, people opposing the bill. I mean, they shouldn't be ashamed. They shouldn't worry. And it happens all the time. People, different administrations, always oppose issues. Back in 2019, Taiwo Oyedele, chairman of the Presidential Tax Reform Committee, opposed the proposed VAT increase by the then chairman of FIRS, Babatunde Fowler, who sought to raise VAT from 5% to between 7.25% and 8.75%. He put out a tweet which is now trending. Let me take Taiwo Oyedele's tweet. Then he wrote, contemplating an increase in VAT rate now is bad timing and inconsistent with current economic reality. And he tagged the National Assembly and the FIRS also back in 2019. Now President Tinubu also opposed the VAT increase during President Buhari's tenure. If you recall, during the 11th colloquium for his 67th birthday in 2019, Tinubu said an increase in VAT will reduce the purchasing power of Nigerian consumers and is capable of increasing hardship in the country.
Consumers' spending is slipping, and this is where I will stop and appeal to Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the Vice President, and his team. Put a huge question mark on any increase on VAT, please. If we reduce the purchasing power of the people, we can further slow down the economy. Let's widen the tax net. Those who are not paying now, if it is inclusive of Babalola Tinubu, let the nets get bigger and we'll take in more taxes, and that is what we must do in the country instead of additional layer of taxes.